Hello, and welcome back to the Am I Successful Yet podcast. Today's guests are a dynamic duo. Today's guests are a dynamic duo, Harmony and Jacob Aldridge, the current world schooling Harmony family that are traveling around the world, coaching legal businesses and world schooling their child. They are superstars in the legal industry, and I came across them because I've met them through the Happy Lawyer, Happy Life movement, and they're just great humans. And I know that they're going to drop some absolute, bombs of wisdom on you. And it's going to be an amazing episode. I cannot wait for this one. They are going to coming onto the podcast today live from Vietnam, which is very cool. So thank you, Jacob and Harmony, for being here. And let's go into the episode and get those bombs of wisdom, and leave a comment down below of your favorite part of the event. Hi, Harmony and Jacob, all the way from Vietnam. Thanks for joining me on the Am I Successful Yet podcast.
Thanks for having us.
I love that they're trying to stand together in this little frame so they both get in. It's amazing. I love this.
So it's the risk. It's the risk of working with the most beautiful woman in the world, is that sometimes you do have to be in her shadow.
Oh my gosh.
What a way to start, Harmony. No pressure.
Exactly. That's it.
Now, look, as I said to you before we started recording, we're just going to chat. And what I want to understand, obviously you two are doing legal coaching for other humans that do stuff, but I want to understand your successes or pivots, because I know there's been some of those, and understand, I guess, how you ended up coaching other legal businesses doing what you're doing, and how you ended up being in Vietnam in world school, coaching businesses from around the world. Like, it's crazy.
It is. And I remember when you sent us the prep questions and went, what's your biggest pivot? And I'm sure other guests have been exactly the same. It's the hardest question to answer. It's like, am I limited to one?
Yeah. Everyone's like, how far back did you want me to go?
Yeah. Well, I think if we think of where coaching started for us, I graduated university and was completely useless at everything. So I couldn't get a job and really struggled.
He's not a good employee.
Yeah, I am not an employee. And I had this generalist, lots of different interests, and I worked in different parts of different businesses. And that was very tricky to find a place that would fit someone who had hosted a really terrible TV show and had a journalism and a history degree. And
definitely didn't know about the TV show. Can we just quickly side quest over to that? What was the TV show?
Road Trippin'. So me and one of my journalism friends, we built a giant map out of Refidexes, the Gregory's, the UBD, the old days. And
for all the people that are below 40, all the people that are below 40 listening to this, a Refidex is a paper version of Google Maps.
You would have to pull over to the side of the road and pull it out from your passenger seat and just make sure you were still going on the right road. Yeah.
No blue dot.
And you had to turn it upside down for it to make sense.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
So
anyway,
we would throw
Jacob.
a dart and go where the dart landed. That was every episode.
God.
The dart hated us. There are four tips in Brisbane, four landfill sites in Brisbane. We hit 2 of them in 13 episodes.
That is some kind of metaphor for the show, I think.
Yeah, it was. Someone called, it was on Bris 31, like community access, Wayne's World kind of TV network that doesn't exist
this is
anymore.
Amazing.
Someone called.
Does it still exist on the internet?
No, too early. I cannot find any evidence of it, and I'm not looking.
So sad.
Because I want to add it to my IMDb profile, but I need evidence that it existed to add it to my IMDb profile.
Is it like on VHS or something?
I'm pretty sure my co-host still has some copies, and it's possible my grandfather has some copies. So I've really got to make sure that when he passes, I'm on a plane, I'm at Caboolture, I'm burning any evidence.
Love it. This is amazing.
So you can see why nobody would hire me.
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe the Refidex people would have hired you.
Meanwhile, I did not, even though we did some other acting, use that term loosely, together in our youth, I certainly did not end up on that TV show because I was a serious law student and I was thinking about being a good and proper person. And thought that being associated may not be a tick in the pro column for that.
Were you and Jacob together at this time, though?
Yeah,
You're trying not to associate with him.
That's it. Met as 20-year-olds, started dating as 21-year-olds, and yes,
And
still
here we are. Still going.
Well,
still going.
which is a success. We want to talk successes.
Yeah.
That is one.
That is a success.
Particularly with all that humans go through. 20 years is a time.
Well, the amount of things, that happens in 20 years of life, particularly from 20, like 40s, that's some big shit years. Like, there's some, sorry, sometimes we swear. It's fine. Apparently, there's no rules in podcasting, so it's fine.
So, Harmony went on to become a lawyer, and I had done so many different things that I had a job going and helping franchisees set up their businesses because I had a whole lot of different skill. I could read balance sheets, and I could do training, and I could do compliance and marketing and all of these things. And then that's when I realized that was a general skill set that a lot of business owners would like. So I went and did more training to become a business coach, thinking it'd be a short-term thing. We were going to move to London, and I was going to become a writer or something like that. And 20 years on now, I'm still coaching businesses.
I love that.
But that was my pivot early, and then you pivoted a little bit later.
Yeah. What type of lawyer were you, Harmony?
Employment law.
That's right. I thought so. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess when I chose that as specialization, I chose it because I knew it wasn't, I guess, a limiting specialization. Even though those words probably are contradictions. But I thought I liked the people element of law. I was not a straight out commercial lawyer, but I definitely did not want to do crime. I did some great stuff in it's not called articles, but whatever it was back in the day.
Your apprenticeship.
Very interesting, but just went, I don't think this is, I can't see myself going to the local police station and having a chat with a client through the bars at midnight or 1 a.m. That didn't really...
My husband, potentially, but not a client.
Like my sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did that for about 15 years, and throughout that time had breaks along the way for various reasons. But I think when I started as well, I knew that it wasn't what I was always going to do. I wasn't sure what other options might have been.
Cool. That's good to know.
Yeah. It was good in that, I guess, even though at times, on that career escalator, doing the measuring up and am I where other people are and where I think I should be, all those types of pieces, I still had that thing in the back of my head going, but this isn't everything. But Jacob grew up with business owners as parents. I grew up with employees as parents, and that was a different mindset. And I guess thinking about 100%. Security and things like that, the thought of running my own business, particularly my own legal business, still terrifies me.
I was like, I get that. I hear you.
This is different. And I guess I went into the law with that beautiful idealistic point of view of I'm going to go and, save the world and do international law and all those fun things. And I realized, gosh, this is one of the pivots I hadn't even thought about when I came into this conversation. We got back from London. I went back to my old job, which I was very grateful for. It was exactly what I thought I wanted. And then worked with some clients who had a case on before I had left for the UK, and it was still going. And it was a family business. And I just saw that being pulled through the legal system had completely ruined their lives. And that to me was that realization of, oh my gosh, I came into this to help people, and look at what I'm participating in.
Okay.
So, the coaching gig was still a long way away.
I was trying.
You were trying.
I tried. When you left private practice, I dragged you to a client in Fiji so that you could come and...
You're like, it's going to be great.
Yeah, like it doesn't get any better than that. But
that was cool, but I was still too scared. That's okay. Yeah, and so I guess the big pivot that I would connect to making the decision to start Como Legal Coaching was retraining in the materials that I had learned with Jacob 20 years before or thereabouts.
Yeah.
Because the company he learnt his business coaching and worked with for a while was really into making sure the spouses were on the journey as well, because it wasn't just about the business, it was about the personal.
That's cool.
So, I got trained in it. Thought I was better than it, though. And, serious lawyer.
Obviously.
Serious. I don't need to take on any of that stuff. Yeah, I
I don't need to
understand it,
listen to
and it's all
Jacob.
well and good for you, Jacob,
Yeah.
but yeah, not me. But came back to it and had some really big realizations for myself during that process, and still do. We still, both of us, work with the coach who runs the personal part of those businesses. And yeah, I just went, this is how I can actually help people. I don't want to run my own law firm, but I want to be there for people who do want to run their own law firm, particularly females, and their teams, because I feel like females go into business, and particularly female lawyers go into business because they can see that there's a better way of doing it by leaning into the feminine energy around business as well. And what a better opportunity than having these businesses existing, because females are more than 50% of the workforce.
It's actually crazy how much.
Yeah.
Even in law, I would probably argue that's a higher now.
70.
Yeah, it's huge. And female business owners, if you think about, well, our circle, for example, our networks, so many. It's like,
and if you look broadly, women are something like 60% of university graduates and 17% of company CEOs. So there's something broken there in that pipeline around how we do business that could be done differently, that's going to bring those numbers much, much closer to each other.
Yeah,
if that's what women want too. I don't necessarily believe that's what every woman wants, because they can see the freedom that they have if they are running their own business and doing things their own way. You know, why would we say yes to corporate if we've got more freedom elsewhere?
Well, yeah, this is true. I just want to come back to a point you were saying, like, you know, you had all the tools there. You had all the coaching. You had all this knowledge. You had Jacob, who had been doing coaching for years and years and years. And you still were like, nah, I don't know. It's just such a perfect example of having all the tools and resources available to you, but not actually doing the thing.
Yeah, there's that proverb or saying that, you know, when the student is ready, the lesson appears.
Yeah.
I think the lesson appears quite a few times.
It may have appeared monthly for a decade prior to you being ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you see that in teams as well sometimes. We'll share something with the team and that's brilliant. The business owner's pulling her hair out. She's just like, I've been telling them that for years.
Yeah, but you said it in a different way, or you say it like the way that you present it, the way that you deliver it, people go, oh,
nice
yeah.
Drawing on a whiteboard to go with it.
Yeah, that's
you're
right.
Visual learners, it's important.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so so the coaching business together, that's only recent-ish, right?
Yeah, 3-ish. Yeah, 3-ish years.
As I say, it was 10 years in the making.
Overnight decision.
Overnight success we are. Yeah, no, we all know that that's not a thing, overnight success. So, but prior to Como, so we'll get to Como because I know that that's obviously your lives now. That's huge. What was something else that you had to pivot through to get you to this point? Because I think a lot of the interviews I've been doing, I've noticed that all of the decisions that you make up until a point eventually lead you to the thing, Harmony, finally. We finally convince Harmony to do the thing. They eventually teach you all the lessons you need to know and all the things you're going to get to. It's all leading to one point. And I was mentoring some younger baby lawyers this morning, and they were saying, oh, should I do this or should I do that, or should I do this or should I do that? And I was like, it doesn't matter. Just do whatever feels right at the time, because the opportunities. Yeah.
The shooting all over ourselves, to reference a Sex and the City shoulda, woulda, coulda episode. The shooting all over ourselves. Is that where that comes
from? Sex and the City.
Sex and the City. The writing on that show, there's some really good writing. You know, a lot of problematic things from the 90s and early aughts, of course, but still some good writing. The shooting all over ourselves is so debilitating and so limiting. And it's kind of like, you know, we're lawyers. We love a good precedent. We love a good pathway to follow. But ultimately, we're living our lives and no one's ever been us. No one's ever had the experiences that we're having. And so while it's nice to get guidance and, you know, be mentored and things like that, ultimately the should is going to prevent us from, I guess, being really open to the could and being able to make decisions for ourselves.
Yeah, and actually doing something.
Yeah. I feel like it was 2008, 2009 when we were working with our first coach. And one of the things she challenged us on was sort of like, what's the bigger picture or what's the purpose? And I've often struggled with that because most people think, oh, it's about Elon Musk, Sam Altman changing the world kind of purpose. And I don't have that. I'm not interested in doing that. One of the things that we anchored on way back then was about being an example for others, not from a standing on a mountain beating my chest, being an arrogant kind of thing, but around being transparent and sharing and being open about what we were trying to create, because even then we sort of knew it was a little bit different to what maybe most people thought life was supposed to be in that shoulda.
Yeah, and 2008, 2009, this, like what you guys are doing now, well, I imagine that was, maybe it wasn't this version, but it just wasn't thought about.
No. Well, it was 2010 I had my first remote coaching client.
Yeah,
I had
remote wasn't a thing then.
No, and that was on
Was that
it was
Skype?
Skype calls.
Yeah,
And we were in
Skype.
London, and it
Again,
was
for
really
anyone under 40,
yeah.
Skype is a tool we used to use. And I'm sure we paid for Skype, didn't we? Like,
You had to pay for calls. Skype itself, I think the VoIP might have been free because we were pretty broke. We landed in London with no work, had a whole lot of misfortune. And that was towards the end of 2010. And so I tracked down one of my Australian clients and gave him a great deal to keep working with me on this Skype thing. And it kind of
it's going to be great, I promise.
You can always sack me.
We're only going to freeze 5 times in the call and drop out.
We were using the Wi-Fi from the cafe across the road.
Oh, yes.
I always cough when I confess to breaching terms and conditions. Side effect of being married to a lawyer. The big big pivot, I think, or the big moment for us was a few years later. We did the London thing like a lot of Australians did. We came back to start a family was the plan. And
I love how Harmony just laughed. She's like, yeah.
Yeah. And like a lot of people, you come back from a holiday and think, what if I'd never had to come back? But we were clear on what is that we're creating. Are we going to do our best at creating the family thing, thinking that would be a 2-year process, and ended up being 6 years and 10 rounds of IVF and a whole lot of, which we were fortunate
Stress,
to be successful
heartache,
in the end. But
pain. Yeah.
Yeah, the IVF, fertility bingo, infertility bingo we played. We ticked every box on that
Good
board.
times.
Black humor gets us through.
Well, honestly, like it's literally one of the worst things to go through. Like I haven't done it, but I know lots of people that have, and Harmony, you and I have talked about it a little bit too, and it's just shit. It really is.
And I think the education's better now, but even I just remember how naive we were going into it about success rates, about the process.
Yeah.
I mean, I was thrown into medical menopause half a dozen times. Don't recommend that. We get to do it anyway.
I mean, I don't want to do it.
You don't need to do it 7 times.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think even back then, people, just the questions that were asked and, like it's uncomfortable to answer them, but also, again, with that process, we wanted to be open and be able to answer those questions because people literally thought that, it was wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, a bit of a mixy, and you're pregnant.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, but that's not,
It's not.
it's not like that. It's just as tricky as the traditional route. No pun intended there.
And less fun.
Just have a really bad habit of doing those things at times.
I didn't even notice.
If anyone wants the really graphic details, me and another friend of mine who went through a similar journey did a podcast about the IVF experience from the male perspective, which is called Come Again.
Of course it is.
Because that's you go into the clinic and they take your money and nothing works.
You got to do the thing.
Thank you. Please come again.
I remember when my friends were going through it and I was like, oh, what's on for the weekend? She's like, oh, well, there's a semen drop tomorrow and then I've got to do it. And I was just like, what, sorry? And she was like, oh yeah, there's going to be a semen drop and then I'm going to have to go in on the week. And then I was like, okay, yep. I mean, we'll just talk about that like it's a normal thing.
We'll talk about that now.
The room is exactly what you imagine it would be from the
like
masculine.
Just dark and grey and horrible with some Penthouse
and
magazine.
full of motivation. Not that you need it, but it's there, I suppose.
Oh my God.
Yeah, very uncomfortable. You had I think when we were chatting, Jacob, you had a pivot moment related to the...
Well, that was the big... I mean, it was the rock bottom moment, I suppose, for us in that process that thankfully we came back up from, which was Christmas Eve of 2015, which was our first successful, I think it was our third round of IVF. We had a successful pregnancy. We had the test. It was Christmas Eve. We're going to family and friends and sharing the news. We were 9 weeks in, I think, and we just had to pop in to see our obstetrician fertility specialist to do the scan, the quick scanny scan to
Just a
share
quick
the
one.
news and head down
Christmas
to Christmas.
Eve.
And she couldn't find the baby.
Fuck.
So then we needed to go to a hospital to get the bigger
Prod.
Yeah. You got the prod.
Literally, prod. Yeah.
So that was our first ectopic pregnancy, which is, if undiscovered,
Is bad.
that can be fatal. And it's also ridiculously rare. Like the mechanisms for an ectopic pregnancy is generally when, you've got Michael Phelps heading up and, you do it in the wrong place. IVF is supposed to miss that.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, you're coming
I
in,
miss
you're all
with
coming
IVF.
in the other starter gun. But no, it was a meanderer, got stuck, got lost. And then I shared you had your experience. My experience was Christmas Eve. I'm dropping my beautiful wife at the emergency room for surgery. And you had a couple of briefs, but it was like, you need to get me out of here by midnight. I'm not spending Christmas waking up in hospital.
Just a wild thing to even be concerned about. But yeah, I was just, I don't know, I think I thought it would be worse if I stayed Christmas morning in
I
hospital.
kind of get that. Like, if you kind of love Christmas, you're like, I don't want this horrible thing to continue through to Christmas, because then that's a Christmas memory.
Yeah.
Of dealing with that. So I kind of get that. Like,
yeah. I was just so attached to it. And of course, Jacob had to drive back. He couldn't stay with me in emergency waiting because he had to drive back home and put all of the Christmas food we'd prepared back in the fridge.
We were on the way.
So annoying.
That was the worst part of the day, was having to eat a pavlova by myself.
No. I mean, a little bit of emotional eating got you through, though. Poor me. Harmony's eating fucking sandwiches from the hospital. Jacob's smashing pavlova.
Yeah.
And so it was January 2016 then. It was the next month where we really sat down and went, well, first of all, we're not going to let this fertility thing drive us anymore. We're not fitting our lives around it. We're fitting it into our lives. And then the second thing is, if we have to go through all of this, we can do whatever we want. So what is all of the things that we want? Like, what if we didn't have to follow anybody else's recipe for what life was? What would it look like for us? And that was perpetual travel. It was doing that with a family, and it was being able to afford the lifestyle.
Yeah, being able to afford all those things. Yeah. And are you still working at this point, Harmony? Are you still lawyering?
Yes, I was in-house by this point with a very generous employer, just given that this was not part of our plan, clearly. And I did take a bit of time off. At the time, we took up the counselling option at the fertility centre that we went to and had an amazing clinical psychologist. She's fantastic. And yeah, gosh, that so needs to be mandatory. Anyway, we took that up, and I remember her telling me when I had to have time off because the imposed medical menopause that I went in before the ectopic pregnancy, I literally thought I was losing my mind. I was not prepared for the physiological and cognitive impact of that. And yeah, she said to me, I can't even remember the percentage, but it was shocking, of the women who go into psychosis because of the impact of the IVF meds or because of the process itself, the emotional impact. And I'm like, wow. And I just went, how lucky am I that I'm not in psychosis? Still had other things.
Not be a thought. We live in Australia. Like, are you fucking serious? Like, I cannot believe we're having this conversation. Like, I'm squeezing my foot so hard right now. Like, I'm so angry.
Angry, yeah.
Like, I just, like, what?
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe how many people go into psychosis. I'm sorry, that's not a normal fact.
Just stick a drug in your belly and good luck with that.
I mean, you might lose your shit. Nobody really knows. You might get pregnant. Nobody really knows. I mean, we're just going to keep on stabbing you until something good happens. Like,
yeah.
How is this a process?
Because people want babies. Like,
I know.
Well, not everyone, and that's cool too. Like, again, have the life you want to have. But when someone really wants to have a baby, like,
I know,
that is what it takes.
I remember meeting Jacob and him wanting to have kids, and me saying, well, I need to tell you up front, I don't know if I can have kids, because by that stage I'd already been diagnosed with PCOS or PCOS, or now it's known as PMOS as of, 48 hours ago or thereabouts.
Oh, there's new acronyms, so that's fun. Okay.
It's a new acronym because it's actually finally naming what it is, and it's a metabolic disorder, metabolic syndrome. It doesn't
They're
just...
not actually cysts.
Yeah, they're not cysts, they're just follicles, like, you get pretty much every month.
I didn't know that. Okay.
And the cysts don't have to exist for the condition to exist. But it impacts all aspects of your life. And of course, I went for about 20 years just focusing on the reproductive aspects of it, not the whole body system aspects. And of course, after I finalized IVF, had a child, had all of the fun things to do with the early days of having a child, my body went, we're in metabolic syndrome now. Like, we're actually in full-on metabolic syndrome. All of the stuff you've done is having these consequences.
But also, no.
Yeah.
That's giving me anxiety, that whole process. So I can't even imagine how hard that was.
We got through it.
Yeah.
So that was 2016. 2019, we had a baby. We had shifted my business to be fully remote when he was taking maternity leave, so we didn't need to worry too much about that at that point in time. And we were able to take off, and our daughter got to 17 countries before her first birthday, and it kind of worked. And so 2020 rolled around, and we went, this is fantastic. Let's just keep traveling. Let's just keep jumping on planes and going around the world. What could possibly get in the way of that?
I mean, one thing.
Just a little 3-year blip.
Yeah. 3-year global pandemic. No big deal. Yeah. That's fine.
And for me, there were a lot of COVID blessings. If I can say the C word without getting, podcasts demonetized. The COVID blessing. And one of them was this kind of remote conversation, remote work, because in certainly 2010, when I started doing it, it was weird. And 2019 even, I had clients who tried it a little bit and just said, we don't like this Zoom thing. When you're back in the boardroom, let's pick things up.
Yeah.
It just wasn't. And then COVID came in, and suddenly everyone was forced to understand it. And they were forced to go and do it and realize that this is actually pretty cool. Hang on, I don't need my coach to come to my office and make small talk, and I've got to make him a cup of tea, and we've got to have the chat and all of those kind of things.
You can just jump on, get it done, jump off. Do you think at that point as well, from a business perspective, obviously you were kind of grounded. Do you think that things dropped off because it was like, I don't really need a coach right now. I'm trying to keep my business like above water?
Through the pandemic, not too much. And it's one of the advantages I have, and I run a little seasonal podcast called Don't Waste a Good Recession, from the work that I did through the Great Recession, the global financial crisis, particularly the UK, the US, and a little in Australia. Knowing what small, medium-sized businesses need to do to respond to economic turmoil.
Yeah, okay, cool.
One of my superpowers, timely, again, at the moment. So I only lost one client through the pandemic, and I think I worked with 9 clients that year, and 8 of them had a record year.
Yeah, wow.
Isn't
that interesting? So many people did that year. Like, it was, and I think it was being forced to pivot to do things differently, probably in a way you've never done before, because it had always been working to have clients come into your office, to meet you in the boardroom, to do all those things. And then it was like, what's this Teams? And so we weren't using Skype then, were we? But
Well, that's why I say don't waste a good recession, because more opportunity is created in a downturn than in good times, because people have to change. They have to pivot. They have to ask themselves, what do I need to change to do differently? And if you can be the answer to that question, then you're going to achieve a whole lot. Whereas in good times, we're all just fat and lazy. Okay, I'm just fat and lazy.
Well, we're in our comfort zones, right? Like, if we're not forced to move beyond our comfort zones, we don't grow, but also it's comfortable, right? Why would we choose that every single day? Whereas if everything's been thrown out and we are absolutely nowhere near our comfort zone, then I think it opens up the opportunity to go, what are the other things we can be doing here?
Yeah.
Because, hey, I'm uncomfortable already. Let's go with it.
Yeah, let's just try and find a way out. And do you think it was like almost like a survival mechanism at that point? People were changing
through COVID. There was a lot. One of the interesting, so every recession goes through a similar set of dominoes, but every recession is also unique and different. One of the really strange things for the COVID coronavirus recession was that the industries that got hit first were a lot of what have traditionally been tertiary, follow-on industries. So hospitality, retail, a lot of customer service jobs that through the global financial crisis, which was bank-led, that's what was unique about that. It took 18 months, 2 years until people stopped spending money on restaurants. COVID, they just all got turned off
Yeah, it was
immediately.
immediate. Yeah.
And my experience is that a lot of, and we've seen this traveling around the world over the last few years, a lot of people who were amazing in those very front of house roles through COVID pivoted into more traditional office work because governments through stimulus at a supply side recession, which creates enormous inflation. Who can possibly have seen that coming? But what that meant was there were a lot of businesses then that had work, that had money, that were hiring people. And so you had amazing cafe managers who historically would not have been hired into a white collar office role, who were suddenly able to be hired and needed to go and pivot and were able to take all of those enormous skills that they had into a career where now they get to sit in air conditioning, not deal with muppets complaining about the latte being too cold, and they don't have to work nights and weekends like all their hospo friends. And so you end up with this huge opportunity for a lot of people to pivot their careers through that. And also, I think a whole lot of customer service history, memory was taken away. And so perhaps the people who are now managing the cafes and the restaurants in a lot of cases were perhaps not people who would have been hired for that job in the past. And so customer service has perhaps taken a bit of a hit because of the opportunity created for others.
It's like a forced pivot for the whole workforce. It's like, actually, no, we need to move things.
Yeah. And the Donald Trump thing, I've had a lot of people in my orbit since 2016 saying this is going to be a forced pivot. It's destroying the world, but that's what we need in order for us to learn and change. And these are also the people who think that your purpose needs to be world changing as opposed to you changing. It's dangerous to think that we need to wait for something to force pivot our lives.
Yes.
Because
okay. I love this. Yes.
the status
I'm really
quo,
excited. Yeah.
every moment is a choice. You are choosing to continue doing whatever it is that you are doing. And you always have a different choice available to you. And it's okay not to do the truth. It's okay to feel the fear and worry about it. The key thing, though, is not to wait for somebody else to push that on you. And I shared that poster I took in our 2019 travels with you around if you want to achieve greatness, stop asking for permission. And I think there's still too many, and a lot of them went to law school and followed the career who are waiting for somebody to say, here's an opportunity for you. Here's the new role, or here's the new job, or here's the new life that you are allowed to have and think about. And that's not how the world works. And I don't want anybody waking up at 40, 50, 60, 80, 100 thinking, it would have been nice if I'd taken a risk, if I'd tried that thing, if I'd done that.
I did the thing.
And
I have this. Yeah. So I was thinking this is part of the conversation that's come up when doing the podcast around should you, and maybe not should you, but do you think that people need rock bottom to actually consider your values, your purpose, your big why? And I think that it's like particularly for like let's use lawyers, right? Like they're competition focused. They're going to be the best. 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 And then that's all they're doing. And then all of a sudden everything turns, everything gets burned down because you're so tired and strung out. And then you're like, actually, maybe there's more to life. And I just find it really interesting. Like, do you think people need to get to that point? I want to say no, but I think the answer is yes.
You're at a 9. I need you at a 0.
I'm going to need you to.
I'd like to say no, but we are messy, magnificent, wonderful human beings, and the human experience is about contrast. And we don't experience the elation without the devastation. Like it just doesn't, they're not binary, but they're related. And how do we appreciate the joy if we don't also appreciate the fear? Like it's just, and it's so hard because these concepts might feel so very esoteric and not being able to pin down, but it just seems to be that our history, our behavior, even like my own behavior over time
Same as me. Like I'm 100% had to have complete burnout, be a complete mess. And then I went, what's a purpose? What's values? I should find that out.
And I think, again, going back to the clinical psychologist we had during IVF days, she introduced to me, I'd not heard of it before, but the concept of the battery. And I think by that point, I'd already probably burnt myself out at least twice. And she just said, this is probably the last time you're going to do this for yourself, because now you're aware about it and you know that your battery can't go back to that again. You've done it twice. Okay. You're lucky to have survived doing it once, right? In terms of of hitting it. Yeah, this is something, and it's just always stuck with me of, oh my gosh, yes, I have a battery and I've drained it a couple of times and I don't, yes, I might get down pretty low, but I've got that awareness of going, oh, that's what's happening right now. I need to look at my choices. I need to look at what the options are available to me so that I can decide to choose something different. I mean, sometimes, as Jacob was saying, you keep choosing the same because that's what you do. Just having that awareness piece to open up the options, I think, is a helpful thing.
I've got a masculine, feminine energy take on this.
Okay.
Which is one of the things that we do. I don't love that it's masculine, feminine, but that's like 3,000-4,000 years
yin yang.
Eastern philosophy at this point, so I'm not going to change it. But it's not male or female. We are all a combination of both masculine and feminine. Maybe more males predominantly masculine, more females predominantly feminine. But it's not an either.
Maybe not in the law.
It's the balance. You go to your favorite restaurant and you have your favorite meal. It's hard to order something different off the menu because it's your favorite meal. And very extreme, silly, simple example, analogy, it takes going to there and they don't have your favorite meal for you to have a look at the menu and to order something different because it's a risk. You don't want to go to your favorite restaurant, particularly if you only go a few times a year. You don't want to go and take a risk that I'm going to order something different that I might not like as much. So I'm going to play it safe. And I think you can expand that analogy to life and think we could have had the happy suburban life in Brisbane, Australia, where we put the kid in the school and, bought an investment property and put money in our super and caught the train into the office for 40 years. And that's safe. It's a risk trying to do something different. And I think the masculine energy is a lot more comfortable with taking a risk than the feminine. The feminine much more needs to hit that rock bottom. Actually, I don't have a choice but to do something different.
Interesting.
And the conversation we had when we, at the start of 2025, packed up our house, gave away +% of our possessions, put everything into a suitcase and took off, was if we stay, in 12 months' time, we're going to be living in our house in Brisbane with a kid in school and us having a business. If we go and it is a horrific failure, in 12 months' time, we're going to be living in our house in Brisbane with a kid in school running a business. When we actually look at what is the worst possible outcome, it's not actually that bad. But you've got to be comfortable taking enough risk to ask yourself that question. And I think some people are more okay with taking small risks. They'll try something different from the menu. They'll go somewhere different on their holiday. They'll do a side hustle, or they'll learn a course or a skill, or they will even, which is a very brave thing to do, sit in silence with themselves and say, if I had permission to do anything in the world, what would it be? Because the odds that I've lucked into the most fabulous thing for me are pretty low. So where's the harm in asking? And yet I think a lot of people, and who are perhaps more in that feminine energy, it's a lot of needing the stability and the structure and the connection. It's much harder to actually ask yourself that question, because what if the answer is, actually, I don't want what I currently have. I have to break it. And the fear of that possibility is what holds us back.
Yeah. Wow. See, I told you wisdom bombs. Love it. Hold on. I just need a minute because I'm like, what's my next question? Because that was good. That was good content. What was I? Yeah. So I think the answer is yes, you kind of do need to, but also not, depending on who you are.
Yeah. You don't have to. It sure as heck helps.
Yes. I think that though, and it might be that the awareness that you can do that, I think, is the big part of it. Like, it's like, I could pivot and do something cool, but I don't think it was necessarily like like even 10 years ago, and again, like let's call it the post-COVID, the pre-COVID era, like it was remote work, as we said, was not a thing. Like living overseas was kind of a thing. Like people were starting to get digital nomad-y type vibes and, but now like so many people moving to Bali and moving here and doing that. And like homeschooling was not really a thing. Like when we were growing up, for example, that wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Well, we grew up in, the era of weirdo homeschool kids and test tube babies.
Exactly.
And we look at how those things have been normalized. And then when it gets normalized, it feels less of a risk, which is also why everyone goes to Bali or Vietnam to go and world school their kid. We didn't run into too many others in Tunisia.
Yeah. I must ask, why Tunisia?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think we were trying to go to Albania, couldn't find anywhere, booked in Montenegro, they cancelled on us. So then that required a zoom out on the map and go, what's close enough to Europe? And North Africa came up.
Because we move countries every 2 to 3 months, and you've got 90-day visas in a lot of Europe, the Schengen area. So we had to get out of there in the summer, and we want a pool. And we didn't want to burn carbon credits and fly to Singapore, Malaysia or something, from Europe to then fly back again. Yeah. So it starts to get really limited because there's no Airbnb in England has a pool. Why would they?
No. Well, maybe if you're like getting the Downtown Abbey estate or something.
No Airbnb in our budget in England has a pool.
No Airbnb in any regular person's budget in London has a pool.
But this amazing house in Tunisia popped up and we thought, well, there's an adventure. And again, what's the worst? We did some research. We found a lot of people saying safety was not an issue. Like it's an amazing country, and it is an amazing country. The neighborhood was not our favorite. Amazing host, great house, incredible country that we never would have gone to if we weren't open to what's over the horizon, what's outside the comfort zone, because it does not hurt at all to just ask the question.
Yeah, just give it a crack.
It doesn't hurt to order something different from the menu every now and then, just in case maybe you like that more.
And do you think that you guys have had these, and it kind of sounds like you have, these set of values of just being like, well, just try. And these kind of, or have they developed? No, Harmony hasn't.
No, definitely not.
Do you think you've had to
years.
develop and refine these things, or have they always kind of been innate of we'll just give it a go, let's just do it together, we'll see how we go? Like,
I'm a recovering perfectionist, so I'll say that out loud.
I'm so perfect.
I hear you, babe.
I guess when I actually sat down and did my values exercise, as part of setting up this business and things like that, because we go into businesses and talk with them about personal values, but also firm values. So, don't walk in there if you're not the example.
Yes.
So mine that I came up with and check in on, authenticity, reliability, and growth. I can probably get that down to 2 these days as well. I don't know, because I didn't really look at these things earlier than more recent times. I don't know whether the values changed over time or whether perhaps I've always had the values. It's just my definition of them, and perhaps the boundaries that I put in place to protect them have changed over time in terms of what that content looks like.
Yes.
But I never understood my whole life. I've never understood being a different human being depending on who you're with. I've always just been who I am. Yeah, maybe I've changed 1 or 2 degrees, but I'm not someone who can put on a mask. I don't have a poker face. And so I never understood that when people are like, oh, yes, this is how I behave in this situation. This is how I behave in that situation. So authenticity kind of rang true for me from that perspective.
Do you think that that point, that quality about you made you struggle in law land as a lawyer?
My name's Harmony. It's not really a lawyer name, is it?
Well, have we met? Because, yeah, like I feel like that exactly what you just said. It's almost like you like didn't fit in, but you weren't entirely sure why.
Yeah. And I think I've learned since that fitting in and belonging are 2 entirely different concepts.
Yes, 100%.
So I'm with the belonging now, and it's like it's that letting go of wanting to be like the people pleasing piece, which I think goes hand in hand with the perfectionism piece. And it's, if you're my person, that's great. If you're not, that's also great, because how many billion people are there on
Yeah,
this
I know.
planet?
Also, I've got enough friends. I don't need any more. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly. It's and it's okay. Like, it's if for someone not to vibe with you, that's okay.
yeah. But
It
it
doesn't
takes a
mean,
bit to learn that, though.
but it doesn't change me.
No.
And I'm still, as you say, still learning that, still coming to terms with that, perhaps reminding myself of things that maybe I knew as a really little kid.
Mm.
Yeah, but it can be so limiting and so debilitating for such a long time.
Yeah, not knowing. Like, what's wrong? Like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Because you're, like, trying to figure out, like, why am I not, like, why don't I vibe here? Like, what's the quality that I'm missing? And it's just like, no, I'm just not the
I'm
right
me.
place. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm Harmony. That's why.
Yeah.
Jacob, I have a question on that masculine, feminine energy that you were talking about earlier. Do you think the people-pleasing thing is also a masculine thing? Or is that just like a women thing that we just want to make sure everyone's okay and want to be the best? Like,
It's
give
definitely,
everyone the best.
and we are all a combination. So we all have
Mm.
that. The masculine is much more linear, future oriented. I'm going to go and hunt a kangaroo.
Yeah.
Whereas the feminine in all of us, predominantly in some of us, is much more around the present orientation. It's the belonging, it's stability as opposed to risk. And
Yeah, okay.
so it is a similar application where that I need to be a people pleaser ends up sacrificing yourself.
Okay.
We're all familiar, unfortunately, with toxic masculinity, where someone will
Yeah.
sacrifice everybody for
For
themselves.
themselves. Yeah.
When we go into female-led businesses, particularly female-led law firms, what we do see is toxic femininity.
Yeah, I was
Which
about
is
to ask, is
where
there a flip
business
side? Yeah.
owners, it's where business owners will sacrifice themselves for people who wouldn't reciprocate.
Yes.
So we see business owners that, oh no, you've got stuff on this weekend, I'll take that brief back, or I'll do that, or I'll work all weekend. For
I think
people who
I've
won't.
literally had those conversations.
Yeah.
It's funny because you and you don't realize, and then all of a sudden, like you kill yourself over making sure everyone's okay, and then someone resigns, and you're like, well, you're just going to leave me anyway, like,
Yep.
or like I shouldn't take an opportunity because I want to make sure my team's okay, and this is that's probably the more recent version of that for me. And then then I get a call saying, oh, hey, I've just applied for this job and I've got an interview, and I'm like, I wasn't going to leave you. I was going to make sure you were okay, but you're just going to do it. And I think that it's such a dumb thing when I say it out loud. I'm like, what are you talking about? Of course you're going to take the opportunity.
It's unspoken, no expectations set, no clarity, whole lot of assumptions based on keeping everybody around me happy, playing in the comfort zone, but at the risk of playing small with my own life. And there's 8 point whatever billion people on the planet, and they're all out there. You're the only one who gets a chance to live your life. So don't muck it up for 8.7 billion other people.
Yes, I love this. Where do I?
Your team are okay.
I know they're fine.
To help them be okay.
Yeah, no, they're totally fine. They don't need me. They're all grown ups. They'll be fine. Sorry, team. I do love you guys.
And you can love them without rescuing them.
Yes. And I think that's the difference.
And that rescuer, which is the most arrogant of the three in the drama triangle game that so many of us get sucked into.
Lawyers love it.
Is because to be a rescuer, you need to create the victim. If you value yourself at fixing things, you will create a world where you are surrounded by broken shit. And so that is the arrogance of the rescuer mindset is my world is not complete unless other people are broken. And that's a pretty fucked up way to go through life, as opposed to I'm creating this for me and I'm trusting that you're creating it for you. And I'm not going to yuck your yum and you're not going to yuck my yum. And we're both going to be happy choosing and creating what we want for us. And then we can play together instead of it needing to be this power dynamic all of the time. And that's there's the second hour of our podcast.
Yeah.
All of that.
Only if the audience want the repeat guests.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're going to go again. And welcome. Okay. your most recent pivot then is you guys are world schooling, right? World schooling and internationally traveling. You, as you said, packed up your house, doing all the things. What did it take to just do that? Like, we've talked about a lot of things that you guys have got to that point and you just decided that's it. We're going to do it differently. We've been talking about it. Let's just do it.
The chat Jacob and I had in 2014 on the drive back from the Sunshine Coast in that glorious traffic where we were going at a snail's pace. And I just started crying in this passenger seat. Jacob was driving, I wasn't. I just started crying, and I'm a crier. That's my, body's preferred way of exiting emotion out of it. But I didn't know why I was crying. I had no idea. There was just a lot coming out of me. And I think I might have blurted out, I need to quit my job. And it was because I was bored. I was bored. And that's when Jacob coined the opposite of happy isn't sad, it's boredom.
I stole it from Tim Ferriss.
Okay, there you go.
Credit.
There you go.
Yeah.
That was probably around the 4-hour work week time, I think, wasn't it?
Jacob Ferriss.
So, yeah, like that, wow, how could that happen? I later found out that, maybe I was subjected to bullying type behavior at that job as well. That's happened a couple of times to me, and I've only realized it in the aftermath when someone's pointed it out to me. Really?
And with the fertility, and we were.
Yeah. I had other things on my mind. But yeah, that I think is the line I'm drawing between 2014 and around about 2024 when we fully had committed to this as being executed in 2025 was, and it's not to shit all over other people's choices. This is absolutely not about that. It's about making our own choices. But I just thought if we just continue to live in this blue house, even though it's a beautiful blue house in Brisbane, I'm so bored of that life. Like that was what it was for me.
Okay.
And it was just
sick of your own shit. You're like, all right, I'm done now. Thank you.
Yeah.
And it had always sort of been percolating. We did not own amazing crockery.
Yeah.
We never grew up.
Have matching dinner sets.
We're not really building, even the house. We never bought that house to live in it long term. It was always there's something else out there. So we had that sense. It just took committing and then acting,
and
awareness.
Planning, right?
Yeah.
I mean, semi-planning, because you did end up in Tunisia instead of Montenegro, but it's fun.
The master prefers whatever occurs.
And I think what we've learned more than anything over these past, what are we at, 15, 18, I don't know, are we getting close to 18 months, is that literally you're being laughed at often when you're making plans. It is, it's hilarious.
Plans. Yeah.
And, I was always, and I think we both are, we like structure to create freedom in our lives, systems, things that we can fall back on, reduce mental load, reduce physical load, that type of thing. But yeah, the planning, just hilarious. And it's like, we looked at each other when we got to our house in Osaka, and expectations around Japan. I think it's going to be pristine. This was not. And we're just looking at each other and going like, look at us. We're planners. We're researchers. How did we end up in this position?
What is happening right now?
And then we did it again. It just got us crystal clear on what it was that we wanted to say yes to and what we were definitely saying no to. And we're still learning every single accommodation experience.
Yeah, still living the human experience. And how's world schooling going? Is that a thing?
I'm handing over to Jacob on that because we have recently pivoted in that regard as well. And
okay.
Because again, we learn. Our daughter responds much better to Jacob in academia because we realize that we approach things in different ways. Kel's surprise. So, that's unsettling for our particular child. So Jacob's going with the 4 days a week doing the academics, I guess, and then I'm doing the enrichment activities, the social piece, going to aerial yoga, going to martial arts classes, going to theme parks.
I'd be doing that part of it anyway. Sounds like you got ribbed off, Jacob, just quietly. But
no, he loves it.
No, I'd rather.
He doesn't have to go out.
I don't have to go socialise with all the world schooling community. There are so many people. There's one of the groups we're in. There's 110,000 families who are travelling full time and educating their children on the road. Like this is not
some of our closest friends are doing it. They're in Dubai. Landed in Dubai a week before the war started. No big deal.
Oh, I hope they renegotiated the rent for their stay. Got some savings.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
There's a lot. So we this year particularly we've been prioritising some of the hubs where there are a lot more families.
Mm-hmm.
to get that socializing almost every day if we wanted to. And then making sure that the stats are that a homeschooled child will spend 16,000 more hours with their parents if they go all the way through. Like, that's pretty cool and pretty important. And then the reality is they've got a one-on-one tutor for 2 to 3 hours a day, 4 days a week. You don't need to be sitting in a classroom of 30 people for 35 hours a week.
There's some parents listening to this going, fuck that.
If they threw money at it and it was like, guess what? We've discovered we can teach your kids in half the time, so they're all coming home at 11 a.m. now, there would be a revolution. Parents would riot.
Yeah.
Because
like, absolutely not.
we're built into
The system's not built to support that.
So on
But
the
you
one
guys
hand,
have
we're
designed your
privileged in that
life.
we can work part-time and educate our child. And on the other hand, it is a decade of deliberate choices that we have made to be
Yes.
able to create this as the life that we wanted. And if it
Exactly.
wasn't working for us or it stopped working for us, then we could choose again.
Yeah, and I love that. And that's the reality, right, of pivoting, is that if it doesn't work, we just don't do it anymore. Like, and I think that that's not how we were like, our generation was really raised. It's like, if you don't, or particularly for lawland, for example, you don't get a clerkship. I'm sorry, your career's over and that's it. And you may as well just give up.
Those 4 years of study and what you did before then,
Well, Gen X,
there's no other options.
We were
Yeah,
told
there's
that's
no
going
other
on your
option.
permanent record.
Yeah.
But there is no permanent record. There wasn't a permanent record in 1987. There's certainly no permanent record now. Even social media isn't permanent. You can't change things if you want.
I mean, we can't even get road tripping on the internet now. Nothing's a permanent record.
Oh my gosh. Oh, seriously, if you did and then did like a watch podcast, a viewing podcast.
Yeah.
I might get cancelled.
The where are they now with road tripping?
We met up with Dean, who was the manager at Wakeholm Waste Management Centre.
It was good local tourism, to be honest. It was walking streets, chatting to people, seeing things.
That's pretty much what you're doing now, Jacob. You've just come full circle. It is road trip in the world. Freaking Harmony
Except for we go through a dart.
I don't throw a dart.
Yeah.
No,
Slightly more.
Families do that. Some families who are world schoolers or, failing families, they do that whole, let's get a world map and do that with it.
Or let's let the kids decide.
Yeah. Kids may not know some of the criteria for those decisions. They do it. I think it's content creation, right? In terms of
it's content
creation.
Made no
plans. Let's see how we go. It's whatever that travel show is that had people competing against each other to just
race around the world.
Guides. No, travel guides, I think it must have been, where they just put them into the most unlikely situations for entertainment purposes. So
poor kids are like, I don't want to do this anymore, guys.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things that we keep tuning in on, like in terms of, I think Jacob said it before, if it's not working for all of us, and gosh, I think about it now, that was our fertility journey as well. We were kind of like, we would only make the next decision if both of us were on the same page for whatever part of the process we were in. It was, well, if you're not feeling it and I am, we're still going to go with the person who's not feeling it, because, there was heaps of time. There was always heaps of time available. Well, we thought, and there was, I think we apply the same here. It's like just making sure we're still connecting with the reason why we're doing this. Are we experiencing that most of the time?
Yeah.
And if it changes, then we make a different decision.
Love this. I saw something this morning that said, what did it say? Marriage is teamwork. So if you don't want to be part of a team, then you should stay single. And I feel like you guys are like that perfect definition of marriage being a team. Like, so cute. I love it. Oh, there's
Thank you. We've had lots of coaching, lots of therapy.
Good coach on this team. Yeah.
Good coach. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I'm just like, amazing. Okay, so if I was, and look, I have been numerous times, if I was in the middle of a pivot and I was a bit like, this is never going to end, I'm the only person on the planet this bad thing has ever happened to, and I don't know what I'm doing with my life and where am I going to end up now, what advice would you give that person?
I've got the little 3-step process.
Oh, okay, yes. Love the 3-step
permission,
process.
listen, choose. I learned this from a coach in Perth called Millie Aitchison. Permission, listen, choose. So it's that sit in the dark space by yourself, no devices, and just ask yourself that very scary and very fulfilling question, which is, if I gave myself permission to do anything with my life, what would I do? And then listen, listen to what your heart, soul, essence, gut. Try not to listen too much to the brain. The body wants to be happy. The brain wants to be right. Listen to the body. What is that? And don't try and shut it down. That's when the brain kicks in. It's like, that's impossible, or that's unrealistic, or nobody could do that, or no one would love you if you did that. Like, shut this guy up.
Yeah.
Listen to hear, and then, having listened, choose. Make that choice.
Okay.
And it is just like, there's more information available to us now than ever. If you wanted to become a lawyer, if you wanted to stop being a lawyer, if you wanted to see the world, if you wanted to dig the world's deepest hole, whatever it might be, you can go and become an expert in that. And make that choice. And if the choice still scares the hell out of you, well, one, that's probably a sign it is something compelling. Then it is asking yourself, well, what's the worst that can happen? If I learn more about this, what's the worst that can happen? If I go and do a course on this, what's the worst that can happen? If I go traveling, what's the worst that can happen? Because almost certainly the worst possible outcome is nowhere near as bad as your fears might be. And it's just holding you back from testing something that might be. And if it's not for you, that's okay. We can go and run the process again. Permission, listen, choose.
Yeah. It's iterative. I can't even say the word. Iterative.
Iterative.
That's
there we go. Just going to say it fast. Iterative.
Can I add into your process that you might ask the question, what's the best that could happen as well?
Yeah.
I think that's the piece we're the scaredest to admit.
Yeah.
There is that quote, and I cannot do it justice right now. Marianne Williamson, you might be able to put it in
your greatest fear is not that you are
inadequate.
Your greatest fear is that you are
powerful beyond measure.
Yeah.
And so that is
we're scared of that we might actually be amazing.
Well, we are.
And then you got to build that shit up.
Just the three of us. I don't know about the watchers, the listeners, but the three of us definitely are.
Yeah. I think my advice is, yes, that's a really good process. I like it.
It's written on my vision board from 2016.
Yeah, I forget about it.
I had
been
it
trained
written
in
on
it.
there. Yeah.
I think in all of this, a reminder that we can have for ourselves is that I'm lovable, I'm enough, I'm okay. It's just, you are lovable, you're enough, you're okay. It doesn't matter what those choices are, what you do with your life. Nothing can change that. That's incontrovertible about you as a human being, just by the very fact of your existence. And yes, you're going to make some messy decisions, engage in messy behavior. It's just part of it, and it's just about having that grace for ourselves and each other, ourselves first, but each other as well, and just coming back to, I've got it written down on a post-its are good. I'm lovable, I'm enough, and I'm okay, and that doesn't change no matter what choices you're making in your life. And if you can remind yourself of that, then everything
which is hard sometimes, right?
Oh, it's so hard. Yeah, these things are easier said than practiced, for sure.
Yeah.
And they're still true. It's just going back to the Marianne Williamson quote, I think that's the thing we're most scared of admitting, because if there's something to fix, does that feel like an achievement? Do we feel successful if we fix something, as opposed to actually there's nothing to fix? Yes, I want to grow. Yes, I want to experience as a human. Yes, I want to try out these things. But there's nothing about me that's wrong that needs fixing.
Love this. And my final question is, are you successful yet? I love that they laugh. They're like, they even knew that question was coming, and it's still funny. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think it's an end destination either. We are living the life we want to be living right now, with everything that comes with everything. There's consequences. We're not near grandparents and family right now. There's a whole spectrum of consequences to the choices. And yes, we're doing it.
I mean, yes, like you are successful based on that version that you wanted to be in that moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where everyone is born successful and the rest is just noise. Like that's my answer. And like objectively, what does success look like? Your money, your happiness, the most beautiful wife in the world. If I didn't have those, would I still be okay? Yeah. I am enough. I am born enough. So that's success. Everything else is noise.
And we're ending there because that's thank you, Jacob and Harmony, all the way from Vietnam. And that was the podcast with Jacob and Harmony Aldridge. Just just great humans and so much like amazing content in there. If you didn't listen to it like in detail, I think you should go back and listen to it again and take notes because it was amazing. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. And if you want to reach out to Jacob and Harmony, they are Como Legal Coaching and they are superhuman, amazing people. Have a beautiful day and I'll see you on the next episode.